Good morning, Opening Pathways viewers. This is Tom LeNoble, and I'm really excited to have you here today, as well as my guest, Phil Taylor. Phil and I have been communicating a bit, and what a wonderful human being that I've gotten to know and look forward to knowing better. Phil is the Chief Executive Officer of the Goal Achievers Summit. He does many other things he's going to share with us, but we'll learn about this conference coming up at the end of the year in Orlando, which is a great place for you to go spend the new year, not only with your family and friends, but at this conference that has so much to offer that we're going to learn a little bit about during this conversation. And who knows, you might even see me there. So, Phil, it is great to have you here this morning.
Oh, Tom, it's a privilege, a real honor. Been looking forward to this, and I can't think of a more gracious host than you. And
Well,
you're
thank you. Thank
very
you.
kind.
I want to jump right in
Yeah.
because you have this, you've got this speaking background and how you work with speakers and support them and this summit. And I want to know, what was it that got you started down this path? What was the spark that got you started on this journey you're on? And certainly take a little time to share about the summit that's coming up.
Well, that's very kind for you. I have to go way back, way back. I just turned 60 years young this past year, and it feels like I'm in the third quarter, of the fourth quarter of a football game in life. And so it's really retrospective and looking back on my career, which started in sales, and then from sales I started businesses, and then automatically it became an entrepreneur and had to incorporate leadership skills and so forth. So it's been a journey of continual education and building. And at a certain point in my halfway career, we started an organization called Goal Achievers, which is a fancy name for mastermind groups, success teams coming together in unity of thought and purpose to elevate one another. And as Aristotle said, the whole is greater than the individual sum parts. And that's what happens when there's a harmony of purpose and people just come in a very unselfish, giving way, to help one another. It's magical. It absolutely is. So to make a long story short, that organization has been alive for over 20 years, and there was always the dream and the vision of, on a very simple terms, why don't we have a golf day, all get together, and just celebrate one another and have a good time. But really evolved into a vision. Let's put a conference together, and let's call it the Goal Achievers Summit. And it was purposely dated audaciously on the 29th and 30th of December, where nobody does conferences, and I think we started knowing we were on the right path when people were telling us you're crazy, for putting on a conference at that time of year. That's a pretty good indicator, being a contrarian, so to
Yeah,
speak.
that's a reason to run with it. Yeah.
It's a reason over, yeah, exactly. And as for high achievers, the top 3%, 5% between Christmas and New Year's is just a beautiful time to revisit your goals and to reinforce your preparation for the new year so that you go in with the specialized knowledge, the clarity of mind, inspiration, motivation, and relationships to really go and take off into the new year in a very powerful way. So I don't know how if I answered that question, but that's kind of the backdrop,
You did, you did. So what I want to know next is, I know there's a backstory here. There's some early role models. There's something that went on in Phil Taylor's life. Who were those people? Tell us about them.
Oh, very good. Well, first, my mother. My mother is the greatest influencer of my life, hands down, ever. She the most gracious, tender, loving, positive, non-pretentious saint of an individual. And I feel she's passed on, but I feel she's passed in me and through me, and that she's still in me. And the wisdom she imparted to me from the time I was on her lap as a child stays with me to this day. I so am so grateful to my mother, and of course she gave birth to me. So that's going way back, but her presence still lives in me. In terms of influencers, most recently, the late Joe L. Dudley. You had Jim on recently on your podcast, and he shared with you the legacy that he's carrying on. But Joel Dudley was like a father figure to me. Lived in Greensboro, North Carolina, and he just embraced me like a son. He is his story, as you know, is extraordinary. He started from a kitchen table with nothing but a dream and $10 in his pocket and created the largest ethnic hair care skin company in the world and created over, I believe, 300 millionaires and left a lasting legacy of hope and encouragement and beauty. And I was so privileged because he asked me, and it was in his will that I speak at his memorial, you know, and what a privilege that was. So those are kind of bookends,
Love
my,
it.
yeah, and Joe Dudley and so many others in between. Right now, I have a wonderful mentor. I really believe in getting mentors. Find that old grizzly, find that person who's lived longer than you, is more experienced, who's been down the road, embrace them, because they carry with them so much wisdom. My mentor today is a person by the name of Jim Rohde. He's here at the National Speakers Association conference, which I'm at right now as we speak from my hotel room, not the beach. But he's 89 years young, and he's been a member of the National Speakers Association for over 50 years. Past president of the National Speakers Associate, Covet Cavett Award recipient. He's been around, he's seen it all. In fact, he just knocked on my hotel room this morning with a cup of coffee and said, "Phil, good morning. Here's a cup of coffee." Just beautiful. Picked me up at the hotel in his beautiful car. And I mean, he's 89 years young, sharp as could be, but I think the world of him. And then there's the mentors that we have in books, that we can reach out to and embrace. And one of the mentors I have is King Solomon from the book of Proverbs. I read a chapter of the book of Proverbs every morning, every day, to seek that ageless wisdom to live and conduct my life by. Written 4,000 years ago, but the principles are still pertinent today. So,
Good. Good.
yeah,
Good. So
yeah.
tell me, what personal risk did you take along this journey that others never saw?
Whoa. Well, I think the track of an entrepreneur is full of trial and error. People they finally an entrepreneur finally succeeds, and people go, "Oh, wow! I wish I thought of that idea. How lucky you are!" And they don't see the heartbreak and the just the work that goes into it and the multiple of failures. I was listening to an interview with the founder of Netflix, and the host said, "So how did Netflix become an overnight success?" He said, "Overnight success. It took 7 years to build." And we were $50 million in debt. And as a Hail Mary, we went to Blockbuster to try to sell ourselves out and they laughed us out of the office and said, "No, we're not paying you $50 million. We're going to go in competition with you." Today, Netflix is a $500 billion company, and Blockbuster is nowhere to be seen. How's that?
Yeah.
But it's just an example, of entrepreneurial journeys, and it's so what you're doing and giving entrepreneurs a platform to share their stories is so beautiful, so inspiring, so philanthropic, and good, And my journey has been, yeah, just struggle after struggle. I was homeless at the age of 15, so I wasn't born with a silver spoon. I had to learn how to just survive, while even in high school, trying to find out where I'm going to get my next meal, never mind get to class, and so there's a lot of personal battles that I had to overcome. But it's not because of me, but for the grace of God and the prayers of so many kind anonymous people who prayed for me and continue to pray for me to this day. So
Good.
it's not about me; it's about the kindness of others. And
Good. Good. So tell me, what was the biggest turning point in Goal Achievers so far? What was the one that sticks out in your head that was the big turning point?
I, we started really. I think the inspiration from it was reading Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. and he talks about the power of the mastermind group. And so if you haven't read Think and Grow Rich, please do. Art, we talked about my mentor, Joel Dudley. He read it 500 times before he died and built his whole company on it. So that's one of the staples that I would encourage listeners to read is Think and Grow Rich. And I think the magic happened when we first got together. It was just incredible, incredible, well over 20 years ago. And we started multiple meetings, and it just grew from there. Incredible experience. If you go on my LinkedIn profile, you'll probably see about 40 plus testimonials that speak to goal achievers and the power of it. So,
Wonderful.
yeah,
Wonderful. I want
yeah.
to know, what did those early days teach you about trust?
Oh, it's absolutely essential. Essential. Well, one of my favorite proverbs is do not let kindness and truth leave you. Bind them around your neck, write them on the tablet of your heart, and you will find favor in the sight of both God and man. Kindness and truth. And truth and integrity doesn't mean that you don't make mistakes. It doesn't mean that you're perfect, you know, but you're honest about it and that you acknowledge it because we're such imperfect. I'm one of the most imperfect people in the world. I really am, you know, but that's not what integrity is. It's not being about perfection. It's about being willing and honest and truthful with others. And if you can do that, with yourself and with others, I think you'll be on a good path. So the combination of kindness and truth,
Yes,
perfect
yes.
balance, a perfect balance. If you're truthful, honest, but you're not kind, you've lost it. And if you're kind, but you're not able to be truthful, you're not really kind. And that's kind of the real balancing, part of those two
I
virtues.
love this. I love this.
Yeah,
I want to move to your leadership style
yeah,
a bit.
yeah.
What core principles, leadership principles, do you use with your team? How do you make an impact? What are the leadership principles that you bring here?
I think I just mentioned one of the two guiding principle is kindness and truth. To go back to that, I think King Solomon, who wrote that over 4,000 years ago, was a great leader, the king of Israel, and he was at the time the wealthiest, most successful person, living according to history. And so there's a lot of wisdom. There's 31 chapters in the book of Proverbs. I kind of keep track by whatever date it is. For instance, today is the 28th, so I read Proverbs 28. On the 4th, I'll read Proverbs 24 and so forth. And really had the privilege of putting together a program with 17 core principles of success. And one of them is trust and integrity. Uh, but there's so many to cover. But I really, really believe, Tom, that one of the most simplistic, influential things that a leader can do is to simply be kind. I really do. You're kidding me. You're looking for something profound and complex, and no, to just be kind and to ask yourself at the crossroad of every decision, is what I'm saying, is what I'm doing kind and truthful? Is it kind and truthful? And if the answer is no, then I have to really think through this. If the answer is yes, I feel pretty comfortable with my decisions. And there's so many, other resources out there, books and so forth. But I really believe leadership starts with the heart. There's another saying that says, above all, guard your heart because everything you say and do flows from it. So the question I ask is, in my meditations, what's the condition of my heart today? What's the condition of my heart? And so I look up to my higher power and I ask for guidance and wisdom and transformation and strength for today.
Yes, yes.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, we definitely could use a little more focus on kindness right now in the world, that's for sure. I want to know when you're leading
yeah,
and you're not sure of yourself, there's times when we as leaders we have to step in the leadership role. We have no choice. There's a decision to be made, and
Yeah.
we're human. Sometimes we feel unsure. What does that look like for Phil?
For me, I go to my higher power. That's who I go to because there's so many moments of senses of uncertainty, fear, and so I go to my higher power. I get on my knees. I pray. Now not everybody. You may say, Phil, you're awfully religious. I haven't been a member of a church for over 30 years. I'm not. I'm probably the most non-religious person you'll ever meet. Most, yeah. I'm, and it's not to put down people that go to church. I think church is a very wonderful institute, but I'm not religious. But I do believe in a creator, a force that is loving and good. So I go to that force each and every day to
Hmm.
find direction, hope, and strength. And even today, Tom, before this interview, I went to my higher power and I said, search my heart, oh God, give me the wisdom to share today with others, so that others will be built up and blessed. So I go, yeah, I've got a great consultant, you know, and
I
give him
love
grace.
I love my best consultant, my great consultant. It's best. I want to know in at Goal Achievers and the summit and how it operates as a business.
Yeah.
How do you define success beyond metrics? We all have metrics we follow of we have to reach this many people, we have to have this many enrollees, this, that, and the other. But how do you define success beyond those numbers?
I don't think you could measure it, you know. And that's a problem. That's what I love about my mentor. He's so pragmatic. He's a business person. He knows how to put numbers together. And my personality type is being a visionary and being, putting my heart and emotions into it. And quite frankly, I have to admit, this is going to be kind of hard to admit, but I'm not a very good businessman. If you're going to define business by, drawing out the profit and loss statements and so forth, I'm more of a visionary, a person who shares his heart with others. So I try to surround myself with people, particularly a mentor, who can balance that out and just be straight with me. Like with yourself, Tom, I think you have a board of directors, a team that you go to that you bounce things off of, and they give you the feedback you need. And in the same way, I do too. So it's hard to exist without being able to be profitable. If you can't be profitable, it's hard to exist, So
Yeah.
it's good to have pragmatic individuals who'll say this is how it needs to work. In terms of success, everyone's got their own definition of success. Sometimes my definition is money is the last thing on the list. It really is. The money is just the fuel in the tank to get the vehicle going to a certain destination. But how I measure, I don't know if the question was directed to me or not, but how I measure success is how many lives are encouraged and blessed as a result
Love
of
this. Love this.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm often asked, does a coach have a coach? And
Yeah.
my answer is always the same. Does a dentist fix his own fillings?
That's good.
Right? Of course, if you are a coach, whatever we're at, we need mentors, we need others. But I love
Yeah.
this idea of people, does a coach have a coach? Well, of course they do. And I love this answer because I
Yes.
think it brings it right into focus that, of course, if we're going to do things in life,
Yeah.
um, wisdom comes from knowing that there are others that know more and we can learn from, not emulate, but learn from. There's so many people that will read a business book and then try go and be that person. It always fails. You let it filter through you and you take what you learn from it and then you use your own wisdom, your own approach, your own heart to be able to deliver it. And it's really interesting to me. I want to know something else. Have you ever said no to something because it wasn't aligned?
Notice something because it was, oh, absolutely,
Yeah.
100%.
Tell us about it. Tell us about a time.
I'd have to scatter. Well, if it was just a question of money, It would be easy to say yes, but the people or the organizations I was talking with did not align in terms of values, did not align
Okay.
in terms of integrity, and I've said no on numerous occasions because of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to put any names or organizations on the
No.
spotlight as to, embarrass anyone. But yeah, frequently. And sometimes it's just a matter of trying to understand. Stephen Covey, as you know, said, seek first to understand and then be understood, you know. And I think a lot of things don't go through because of misunderstandings, miscommunication. And it's so important to the skill of communication is so essential. I'm still learning that to this very,
Yes.
yes,
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
yeah.
How do you balance being a leader
Hmm.
and being a learner?
Balance being a leader and a learner. I never sought out to be a leader. Do you know that? I have never sought out to be a leader. I never even had a desire to be a leader. No, never. I was a person who dreamt a lot. I'm a visionary. I see things that other people don't see, and I get excited about it. And then I start telling people about it. And then people start getting involved. And then they put a title that Phil Taylor's a leader. I never sought the leadership title. You know? And and I don't know, I don't understand people that go around saying, I want to be a leader, I want to be a better leader. That's fine. I'm not going to judge that. That's a great endeavor. But for me, it was never a point of emphasis. It's just a kind of something I fell into and kind of a little sheepish about, quite frankly.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting. Sometimes we're leaders because it's something that comes natural to us and how we bring ourselves to the table, how we present ourselves, how we operate and work with others,
Yeah.
and our leadership comes from that versus that we went out on a path to find it. It sort of found us. So
Right.
um, I love this idea that you never were looking for it. Tell me, what is your boldest vision for
Mhm.
goal achievers for the next 5 years?
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you, Tom. Well, it goes beyond 5 years, really. What we hope to set as a precedent for Goal Achiever Summit is that one place, year in, year out, where people can descend on this beautiful city called Orlando, which is beautiful, most beautiful weather at that time of year in Florida, across the street from Disney and Universal and SeaWorld, so many things to bring your significant other and your family to during a quiet time where you're actually all together and spend 2 days to reflect on the important things of life and business and get a sense of direction. So many people, New Year's is coming and it's incredible. If you ask most people, what is your goal? They'll look at you like a deer in the headlights, you know, life's most important thing. What's your purpose? What's your goal in life? Uh, it, and that should be the most important question. And then to break it down. And so the vision with goal achievers is to set a precedent. And this may go on beyond this. So thank you for that question, Tom. Thank you for that question.
Yeah.
It's a precedent where people can come for 2 days, get clarity on their life mission, their goals, gain the advanced specialized knowledge. As with AI, things are changing so quickly. It's important to really keep up to speed with the changes in business and life, get the inspiration, the motivation, the connections, the networking, but also the post summit experience called a mastermind group, a goal achiever group, whereby you'll be aligned with 7 to 10 other people in a group that will carry you through the next 12 months until the next date of the
Yeah.
summit. And that becomes a tradition every year internationally, and that it'll go on and really impact the world and have a ripple effect that will really have a positive effect in our country and abroad.
I love it. You know how passionate I am about this whole year
Yes.
in process. We've talked about it a little bit. I have a practice I've been doing for over 35 years. And I think one of the things that we can do best for ourselves is to have some sort of review of the prior year, have some sort of ceremony, if you will, to let go of what doesn't serve us, to be aware that there are no do-overs and position ourselves to get ready for what's to come.
Yes.
And all while remembering we're right here today, right now. You and I woke up today. Some people
That's right.
didn't.
That's right.
I am real interested in hearing what shifts in our culture today are lighting you up.
What shifts in our culture? That's a deep one. I'm not sure. Something I'd have to think about. I I think it's been always there, a seeking for meaning and purpose in life,
Yeah,
significance. I don't think it's ever been non-existence, gone away. I think there's an increasing need to answer that all meaningful question. Why am I here? And what is my purpose? And how can I serve people best from my the gifts that I've been given? I think that that has been life's biggest question. And in the past, I think the thing was, you just were born and you're expected to go to school and then university and get a job and go through life, stay out of trouble, and then go through life this way. I think there's a real hunger and a shift, but it's always been there, but an intensifying of that shift towards a meaningful existence and life that's filled with purpose.
yes,
Yeah,
yes. One more deep one, Phil.
yeah.
Um, what are you most hopeful for the world right now?
Oh, um, peace, you know, peace and unity
Yes,
and love amongst individuals, realizing that we're all in the same boat. We're all born from a mother. We're all humans, despite the color, the race, the religion, the background. We're all important. Going back to Goal Achievers Summit, by the way, we don't have VIPs. A lot of conferences have VIP, scales. And we've been told you're leaving a lot of money on the table by not having VIP. We're saying, well, we don't have it because everybody is a VIP, and we
yes,
treat everyone like a VIP. And that's another thing where we so yeah, let's put our arms down. Let's
yes, yes.
let's embrace one another, recognize one another, love one another. If we had that attitude that was in Christ, we would have no need for armies. We wouldn't have no need for law enforcement, for courts. I mean, I think one of the great freeing, liberating things economically, if you just even want to look at it economically, uh, for this world is love. Yeah, but that's a big word. Love's a big word. It's hard to understand. But in in the ancient book of First Corinthians 13, it says love is kind and patient, you know, and it's not self-seeking. And I think if we can find the essence of that agape love that comes from above, embrace it and share it with others, then we will make progress in this world. Tremendous progress.
Yes. That
Yeah.
was my mother's favorite passage
First
was
Corinthians.
the one you just spoke to. Yes. So I'm
Yeah.
curious if your um, younger self
Yeah.
were to look at this podcast we just did, what would you tell him?
My younger self. How did this happen? How did you get here? How did you possibly survive? It wouldn't be something I would tell him, but something I would be somewhat amazed by, you know, not because of what I've done, but because of the grace of God. Because of the
Yes.
grace of God. Yeah.
Yes. Phil Taylor, thank you for being here today on Opening Pathways. I would love for you to once again just tell my viewers a bit about a final glimpse of the Goal Achievers Summit coming up later in the year, and just share with them one more time if they're interested where they can go and learn about that.
Well, thank you, Tom, so much for that. Very simple. Just Google or put in goalachieverssummit.com and you'll find all the information. We have early bird ticketing still that's available. There's three tracks, leadership, entrepreneurship, and sales and marketing, and 40 plus speakers, 50 plus exhibitors. It's held at the beautiful Orlando Hilton. And it's just a special time where minds will be meeting and spirits will be meeting to make this world a better place and to enhance your ability to be more efficient in your business and in your personal life. And Tom, thank you so much for being who you are. So much appreciate you and
Yes.
doing.
Thank you for being with me today, Phil. And to my viewers, this has been Opening Pathways with Tom LeNoble, and I will see you next time.